Okay, so as I record this, it is now December 15th, and it is about 9 o'clock at night, and I just got a notification that my number one customer, the guy who's essentially keeping me in business for the most part, needs 2 more cutting boards. And he needs them for Christmas. One's going to Georgia, one's going to Louisiana. Now, this is going to be tricky. So, I thought it would be fun and interesting for you guys to follow along with me, to watch me in full-on rapid production mode as I try to get these cutting boards done. So, I don't usually do shoppy, vloggy type videos, but I figured this would be kind of interesting because you get to see my processes, and, you know, I can do time checks and whatever and show you along the way how I'm actually getting all this done. So, come along for the ride, and let's see if we can get 2 cutting boards done and shipped and in the hands of the customer by Christmas. I don't even know if I can do it, but I'm definitely going to try. So let's see what we can do. Well, not that it surprises me, but it's an utterly trash day in good old New Jersey today. So I'm on my way up to the shop, and let's see if we can get these boards done. Like I said, I've pretty much got to get them done tomorrow so that I can ship them as quickly as possible, and hopefully they'll arrive for Christmas. So let's go up to the shop and start cutting wood. Okay, so I'm at the shop, and I've kind of come up with a plan of attack. I don't know that I have enough wood in the shop to get 2 boards done. Now, my boards that I'm making for this customer are 18 by 13, and I know that I need roughly 30 cuts of the wood I have to give me enough to make a cutting board of that size. And I'm looking at it now, and I don't know that I have enough. I have some Padauk, and I have a couple of pieces of maple, and that's it. So I'm a little concerned. I'm not overly worried, but it is something I have to think about, because if I don't have enough here, then I am gonna have to either pivot and cut these shorter and do vertical stripes, which I don't really like to do because my planer doesn't really love those. Or the other alternative is I'm gonna have to go, the only place I can get maple around here is Home Depot, and just get a couple of pieces of maple. I don't know. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna start cutting this up, and if I can get 30 pieces out of this, I will figure out some kind of arrangement that's gonna work. So let's get to it. As expected, I do not have enough wood. So guess what I have to do now? I now have to go to Home Depot and get some maple. So the trip to Home Depot was successful, and I did manage to get exactly what I needed. So I've arranged 2 different boards, Maple and Padauk, and here's what they look like. Pretty. I like them. I like them. These stripes are kind of a thing. It's become my signature in all the years I've been making these boards. So it's kind of expected of me to do that, and I want to keep my style for these. So now I just need to get these in glue, and I'm done for the day, because the glue, Titebond says it only needs to dry for 30 minutes to 2 hours. But I tried that once, and I did a board, tried to do it all in the same day, and when I put it through the planer, it actually broke apart. Yeah, so don't listen to them. Minimum dry time, 24 hours for Titebond 3, which is what I'm going to do with these. So once I get these glued, I'm done. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna work on what's gonna be engraved on them tomorrow. I'm gonna work on that with the client, but so far so good. It's a little bit later in the day than I would have liked, but you know what? You do what you gotta do. So let's get these glued so I can get the hell out of here for today. And just like that, I'm done. Now, it's... I really like these, actually. I didn't want to make 2 identical ones because I don't like to make the same board twice. Although that was something I thought about doing a couple of years ago, where I was going to basically make the same board, and you would order boards by style. Kind of like the way when you go to IKEA, all the furniture has a style, and you just say, I want the Malm dresser, or the whatever. You get the idea. Anyway. Didn't do that. Instead, I like to keep them a little bit unique, but still within my style guidelines. So that's what we got. So check it out. That one and that one. Look, both of them look really good. Like, I'm really happy with how they look. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting day, because tomorrow is when all the work happens. So what's going to happen is the first thing I'm going to do when I get here tomorrow is run them through the planer, and then bring them over to the table saw to trim them up, then take them over to the belt sander and get the corners rounded off, and then right here on this table on my workbench, I'll cut the juice groove into them and then give them a good sanding, and then after sanding they get engraved over there. And then once they're engraved, they get finished back on the workbench. So these should be done tomorrow. Like, I don't know that I'm gonna get to UPS tomorrow before they close, but I will definitely get to UPS Sunday morning, which is more than enough, because the longest number of days out, I believe, is 4. So hopefully, man, I am really pushing it, but if these get to UPS Sunday morning and they start moving Sunday, it all depends on what UPS does, but maybe these are going to make it. So come back tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll go through the rest of the process. You get to see how I finish making these cutting boards. Okay, good morning, everyone. Day 2 of the crazy cutting board pressure system, whatever you want to call it. And the boards are dry. Let's have a look. Got that little guy there. Dried perfectly. And perfectly. So, the first step we're going to try to tackle is to get those through there, get all the glue off. I know this gives some of you coronaries, but it's fine. You'll deal. Get some of that glue off, get these nice and flat, so that then I can take them over to the table saw, give them a little trim, get them nice and square, and then get them over there and get the corners rounded on them. So those are the first few steps. Let's get moving. was telling somebody about what I had to do today, and they were like, that's a lot for one day. And I'm like, it's a lot of processes, but they all go very quickly. And you just saw how quickly. I mean, that was what, 25 minutes, half hour of various things to make this all pretty. So the boards are now in their rough state. No round over yet, but the corners are nice and round. They're nice and flat. So the next step is going to be to hit all the edges with a router to give it a nice round over. We have juice grooves. Beautiful, beautiful juice grooves on these boards. I'm gonna wet these down and let them dry. And then once they're dry, spend some quality time sanding. And while they're drying, I'm gonna go figure out the engraves and get them loaded into the Glowforge so that I could just engrave these real quick. That doesn't look good. I'll fix that later. Okay, these are smooth. The nenext part is to wipe these down with some mineral spirits to get any loose dust off. And we're going to engrave the backs and the fronts of these. So they are now engraved, and they look great, and I'm very, very happy with how they turned out. So now the next step is going to be to put finish on them. I've done a video, you can check out the other videos on my channel, how I get the finish on these boards, so I'm probably not going to bother showing a whole lot of the process, but yeah, you can watch that and learn how I do it. Just in the interest of making sure that they ship nice and they don't get all greasy and get the brown paper that I wrap in greasy, I will let them sit in a room temperature room. Usually I just bring them into my apartment and let them sit in my living room on a table for a couple hours just to make sure. This method generally doesn't leak or wick oil, but it's not a bad thing to do just because sometimes temperature changes from colder to warmer will actually wick some of the oil, and I want to try to avoid that. So then, now that the boards are done, the last thing to do is put on the feet. Now, I always get the same feet. These are I get them from Amazon. They come, I think, 100 to a bag. So 100 feet, 25 boards, or is it 200, whatever it is. But what's nice about these is they come with stainless steel screws, which are pretty important because you don't want to have screws that when they get wet, they're going to start to rust. And then this little guy, this is what I use to mark where the feet go. And I sell this in my store. You've probably seen me talk about it before, but this is my foot placement jig for cutting boards. And obviously you can use it for anything that you're going to put feet on, but this little thing saves me so much time. Let's get moving. And just like that, they're done. All done. I am so happy with how these turned out. I am beyond happy, actually. Yeah, they look really good, and I think the new recipients of them are going to be really, really happy with them. Okay, let's have a little post-mortem here because I think it's important to understand why I did this video the way I did. Now, granted, I may have trumped up the way I was curious to know if I could get these done. In my head, I knew I could get them done. Really getting them done isn't the part I was worried about. It's more about shipping them and having them arrive on time, but that's out of my hands anyway, right? But I knew I could get these done. And there's a couple of parts of the process that I can't speed up. I can't speed up the glue dry time. I can't speed up the finish dry time. But what you've seen is the culmination of making these boards for 2 or so years, where I've actually learned how to make them faster and faster and faster. When I used to make boards, it used to take me 4 to 5 days to get them done. And if you think about it, 4 to 5 days for a board, not very efficient if you're running a business, but I never really had time constraints, so it didn't matter. But now I can easily get a board done in 2 days. And realistically, if I could figure out a way to get the glue to dry a little faster and be reliably set so that when I put it through the planer, it would not blow apart, I can get it done even faster than that. But all the processes that I've used to speed up my processes, I have 2 videos to ones that saved me a lot of time. I have the water popping method that I use, that I have a separate video for, and the finishing method I use. I have a separate video for that, which both of them will be linked down below so you can watch those and hopefully speed up your processes a little bit. This doesn't have to take a long time, and I'm really, really, really glad that I've gotten this process down to the point where I can knock out boards really, really quick like this, because the longest part of this was going to get the materials. It's kind of crazy, right? I hope you enjoyed sticking around with me for the last couple of days and seeing me go through the process. I hope you've enjoyed watching these boards come together. I hope you think they're really cool, because I think they're really cool. And if you like the shop vlog format as opposed to the project format, by all means, let me know, because I think this is a little more fun to do than a step-by-step project video. There's kind of a story, and I like to tell stories. Well, I've always liked to tell stories, but I've never had anyone to tell them to. So hopefully you enjoyed the format. I want to do this again with future projects and things I'm working on. And I guess that's about it. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video, whenever that ends up being.